Your learning team needs concrete ways to identify the ethical considerations raised by the films in weeks 11 through 14 of IAH 241G Women Behind the Camera and on Screen as you move toward collaborative project number 3. These movies include Birds of Passage, Kajillionaire, and Fancy Dance. With that in mind, today I'll provide 5 practical methods to help your team do that. Hello again, everyone. I'm Professor Schwartz, and welcome back to the Collaborative Café for Week 12. Welcome to the Collaborative Café, where we brew up innovative approaches to student collaboration and development of 21st century skills. Method 1, begin by asking yourselves who holds power in the world of the film and who doesn't. Follow the money, the decisions, and the silences. In Birds of Passage, for example, ask how the drug economy reshapes Wayuu authority structures. In Fancy Dance, trace where legal and institutional power sits relative to Native American families. When you locate the centers of power and the people excluded from them, you've found your ethical pressure points. Map it out. Literally draw it on paper if that helps. Method 2, analyze intersectional identity. Listen, no character in these films suffers from just one disadvantage. Race, gender, class, and nationality, as well as indigeneity, stack on top of one another to create compounding forms of vulnerability. Your team's job is to identify how those layers interact. Economic precarity and emotional deprivation don't operate separately in Kajillionaire. They reinforce each other. An intersectional lens prevents your team from settling for a single, tidy explanation of why social injustice happens. Look below the surface at the many details that contribute to vulnerability. Method 3, ask yourselves whose story is being told, by whom, and on whose terms. This question applies to the film itself and the real-world issue your team will examine for Project 3. And how might modern technology render marginalized communities invisible or make them more visible in ways that harm them? Visibility is never neutral. Decide who it serves. Method 4, once your team has identified an issue, systematically ask yourselves, what particular social problem do we identify in one of the 3 final films? Who is harmed? Who benefits? And who holds the power to decide? You'll find that these questions rarely have easy answers. In Birds of Passage, for instance, the profits of the drug trade flow in one direction, while the cultural and human costs fall somewhere else entirely. In Fancy Dance, jurisdictional failures in law enforcement produce real and devastating consequences for specific communities. Chart those asymmetries. The gap between who gains and who loses is almost always where the ethical problem lives. Now, these 4 methods will take your team a long way, but there's another step that will give your team a precise language and vocabulary to argue your points. Stay tuned to learn more. Method 5. Evaluate how modern technology contributes to the problem you have identified against a clear ethical standard. Pick a digital ethics framework that fits your issue, like the ACM Code of Ethics for general technology ethics, a feminist ethics of care for questions of vulnerability and relationships, or indigenous data sovereignty principles like CARE and FAIR for questions of who owns and controls community data. I've included relative links in the description below. Then, craft a well-developed discussion about why this matters. Think of Step 5 as a measuring stick you can use to determine how technology causes harm and what it should be held accountable to. In a nutshell, name your standard, show how technology contributes to the problem, and explain what better might look like. You're listening to the Collaborative Café, where we brew up innovative approaches to student collaboration and development of 21st century skills. If you find this episode helpful, hit like, share, and subscribe. Okay, here's a quick recap of the 5 methods that will help your team lay the foundation for Collaborative Project 3. Method 1, follow the power, find the ethics. Locate who holds it, who is denied it, and what systems keep that arrangement in place. 2, don't settle for a single explanation of injustice. Race, gender, class, and indigeneity stack on top of one another to multiply harm. 3, ask whose story is being told, on whose terms, and whether your chosen technology makes marginalized communities visible in ways that help or hurt them. 4, map the harm versus the benefits. The gap between who profits and who pays the real cost is where the ethical problem lives. Last of all, apply a structured digital ethics framework standard to bear on your chosen technology. Name it, apply it, and hold it accountable. The 3 films for the final weeks of our course, Birds of Passage, Kajillionaire, and Fancy Dance, highlight urgent, real-world questions. Your team now has the tools to meet them. Think in terms of power, privilege, inequity, and social justice. And remember that your team's recommendation should be actionable, specific, and genuinely useful to the communities these issues affect. Next week, we'll look deeper into how your team can further develop and propose a solution to the issue you identify in your film and digital technology's role in that. Until then, I'll see you in class or during Zoom office hours if you drop by with a question. Have a healthy, safe, and productive week in the meantime. With special regards from Onyx, the cat what am. Bye for now. Thanks for dropping by the Collaborative Café. See you again soon.